Good afternoon, everyone. We are live at PTE Clayton today talking about the listening module of the exam. Most of you do not clear the listening module of the exam, and some of you have commonly found that they struggle in listening and writing at the same time. So you'll crack your speaking, you'll crack your reading, but then your listening and writing would be stuck at a very tedious score of 63 or 77. So what is it that we are doing wrong in the listening module? That is going to be our primary aspect of the conversation today. We'll talk about the problematic areas of the exam. So we'll be focusing on the questions that you should emphasize in listening and the questions that you can purely skip and save your time for more important questions further on. And we are really hoping that more and more people would join us so that we can make this session as useful as possible. So I encourage you all to pop in your questions so that we can get this started with and we can handle the hardest module of PTE in the simplest ways possible. Alright everyone, so starting with time management and listening. Time management and listening is the most important aspect if you are ever going to crack your PTE module. Why I say that? Listening is divided into two components, as you must know. There are summaries for which you have 10 minutes each, and then for remaining 7 questions you have an overall timer. And it is that overall timer and remaining 7 questions which make it very hard. So starting from your multiple choice, choose multiple answers, till your write from dictation, there is only one overall timer running up on the screen. So how do we best attempt these questions and best manage the time in them? So starting with multiple choice, choose multiple answer questions first. This is not a very scoring aspect. So if you spent a lot of time on this question, presumably I got a very hard multiple choice question and I wasted a lot of time on it. No matter how hard you try, you will not be able to catch up on that time until the very end. Why? Because you cannot skip the question audio. So I wasted my time on it. I go to my next question and I'm completely panicked because I want to do my dictations and I don't want to miss them. But I won't be able to press next because the question audio will be playing. So the suggested amount of time that you are expected to spend on this question is not more than 10 seconds. So how do we best do it in 10 seconds? So before the question audio starts, you are given 7 seconds. In those 7 seconds, only read the question thoroughly. Half of the times, the options that you are given will become more clearer if you know what the question is asking you. For instance, I still remember there is this question about James Cook and his major achievements, and all the options listed, they're all correct. And if you do not read the question and you do not yourself know that they are in the audio, you won't be able to select the right options because while you're hearing the audio, all the options mentioned, they're all correct. So in the 7 seconds given, all that you're going to do is read the question. While the audio is going on, please skim and scan the options simultaneously. Try to figure out which option he is talking about and try to decipher whether or not that option is correct. Once the audio finishes playing, give yourself not more than 10 seconds to decide the options that you're going to mark. And we preferably, generally, I would say, not preferably, we mark only one option because it has negative marking. So if I mark one right and one wrong, at the end I get a 0. So we mark one correct option and we move forward. The next question is fill in the blank, a very scoring question in listening module. It gives you marks in listening and it also gives you marks in writing. A general mistakes I've seen most students make in this question, and they do not even realize they are making it, is the S mistake. For instance, they say a word such as spaceships. In hurry, you would just write spaceship and not write the S, thinking that you'll remember it. But generally, the only thing we ever remember is what we have written on our notebooks provided to us. So always take care of the words that end in S, because if you do not insert it, you'll get a direct 0. So no marks in listening and none in writing. Another mistake that you make in fill in the blanks is skipping the word. So sometimes you see the blanks are very closely and tightly placed amongst each other. So you're trying to make notes and you're trying to write them and then you look back at the screen and you're trying to do it the best way possible. But the moment you look down, you come back up, you figure out where he's reading, by the time the blank is gone. So how do we best do this question and not miss the blanks at the same time? The best way to do it would be to make notes but not look into the notebook. That is, you're looking at the screen. For instance, I'm doing my fill in the blanks. I'll be looking at the screen. I'll be making my notes, but I won't look at my notes. And you'll be surprised. We can write without looking because we've practiced that through and through. So if you read where he is speaking and you make your notes without looking into your notebook, 100% possibility is that you won't at least miss the blank. You will hear everything crystal clear. Another benefit of doing that is that when you are reading where he's speaking, you are moving with the flow of the text. So you anticipate the word which will be in that blank. So guessing the word, or if the accent is very bad, you have a presumption about what the word would be. So grabbing it becomes much more easier. The next question that we get in listening after fill in the blanks is your highlight correct summary. The most underappreciated question in listening. Most people think that it's not a very important question, it's just 1 mark. So if I just quickly do it and I go to the next question, I'll be fine. However, the opposite is true. It is a very scoring question. It gives you marks in listening and in reading. And if your problematic areas are listening and reading altogether, that you're getting 78 in listening and on dot 79 in reading, or very close score, the chances are that this is the question that you might be doing wrong. How do we best attempt this question? There is a very simple strategy. No, I'm not going to ask you the last 30% or skim and scan all the options. None of that. What we are going to do is that before the question starts, we are given 10 seconds. In those 10 seconds, we are just going to skim and scan one option. Will I be able to skim and scan all options in 10 seconds? Most people ask you to do that. They are like, there are 10 seconds available, skim and scan all the options. The best I can do in 10 seconds, being a teacher, is skim and scan through major words of all those options. And that does me no good. So I'll just skim and scan one option. What will that do is that will prepare me for the audio that is about to come up. For instance, if they start talking about genealogy, Renaissance, or all the terms that I've never heard of before, if I've read the option, it kind of prepares me for the lecture that I will be about to hear. So you are more confident in your approach. While you are listening, you're more confident because despite the fact that you do not know what the word is, but you know the entire audio or the text is about that, so it's not very unfamiliar and it does not come up to you as a shock. So after having read any one option, while the audio is playing, keep an eye on the options. I don't want you to read them thoroughly. Obviously, you cannot listen and read at the same time, but just have an eye on them. Once the audio finishes playing and you have evaluated or you have heard and you've understood the meaning, what we are going to do is follow elimination method. That is, we are going to take 2 wrong options out and we are going to select from the remaining 2. Easy said than done. Highlight correct summary is purely based on meaning. If you grab the overall meaning of the lecture, you'll realize that the correct option will be very easy to find. If you just hear the lecture and you just are matching words with the options, you won't be able to select the right option. Or you'll select the one with majority of the keywords, which sometimes is correct and sometimes is not. So what do I mean by this elimination method I just mentioned? So after I have heard the audio, I'll select 2 wrong options. I'll find the options with incorrect information in them. And then I'll select my answer from the remaining 2. So a good resource to practice on YouTube is, so if you go to YouTube, you type PTE highlight correct summaries and you write test 20 and begin there, 21, 22 and practice. They are a good resource to practice. They are actual PTE questions. You'll be able to do wonders with them. Alrighty. Moving further, after highlight correct summary, what you generally get in the exam, and I've got a few questions. Let's look at the questions first. I might be able to answer that in a few. Alright. The next question that you supposedly get in the exam is MCQs choose single answers. Yes. So 1 question, 4 options, only 1 answer is correct. the easiest, yet we waste time on that question. The maximum amount of time that you're supposed to be spending on multiple choice to single answer is 10 seconds, not more than that. Because after having heard the audio, either you'll know the answer or you'll not know it. If you don't press next immediately after having marked the option, the only thing you'll possibly do is confuse yourself further. If you don't know the answer once the audio has finished, you would not know it in the next 1 minute. So do not spend more than 10 seconds on it and press next. So we started with multiple choice, choose multiple answers. We were spending 10 seconds on it. Second came fill in the blanks. We won't spend more than 20 seconds typing back the options. Then came highlight correct summary. And I recommend spending 40 seconds at least on the question. Further, we get multiple choice, choose single answer. And we are going to spend 10 seconds on it. And I would love to see some questions, so whatever doubts you have up to here, send them through. The next question you get in the exam is PTE select missing word. So what happens in select missing word, or we also call it the beep question, is that they develop your understanding around the audio. And at the end of the audio, there's a beep. You have to hear the audio, and from the given options, you have to select the option which will replace the beep. Let's take a very easy example here. So I say, welcome to Australia. We are all in Australia right now. We have different type of weather here from north. So all those from north, you might find it a little bit tedious spending your Christmas and summers. So they'll develop your appetite for the audio. They'll introduce you to it. They'll keep talking about it. So further they take you down the line. So what my purpose today is to give you a guided tour about what to do while you stay in Australia, what best tourist places are to explore, so that your stay in Australia can become peaceful and deep. Now they have not mentioned the word which is in the option in the audio already before. Some students think that if they match the words given in the options to the audio that has been played, they'll be able to find the right answer. But that does not happen. The words that they have given in the options, they are generally not in the audio. What they are trying to do in the audio is develop your understanding around a concept. And at the end, they give you a beep. So depending on what they were trying to say, you have to select the option which will best fit the beep. So it will make it peaceful and, now without me even saying any options, you know what word can possibly replace it. Which one do you think? Come up with some answers so I know that you all are following. So peaceful and. Comfortable? Generally, comfortable should be a good answer. So they'll give you very similar words. You have to select the word which makes the most sense. For example, I'll give you an example for select missing word from real life. For example, you've called your friend and you're trying to explain him something that has just happened today. Sometimes while we explain them something, we don't find the right word. So you are explaining something to your friend and you're like, guessing the word, and your friend, from what you were just talking about, tries to decipher what is it that you are actually trying to say. That is the exact concept of select missing word. So they are talking to you about something. At the end, they give you a beep. And depending on the meaning of the audio, you have to select the word that best summarizes the meaning of the audio, or that should fit in there in the beep. Now, after select missing word, we get highlight incorrect words. Easiest question. We get marks in listening and reading. I don't think most of us make mistakes here, and time management is not a problem in this question because generally we do this question simultaneously. The last question that you get in listening is write from dictation. The most important question in your listening module. And possibly this is not the first time that you've heard it. It is as important as the fact that every word is 1 mark and you get 3 to 4 dictations in the exam. So let's imagine the best case scenario that I just get 3 dictations. Each dictation is 10 words, which makes it 30 words in total. Every word is 1 mark, I said. So 30 marks. Half in your listening, half in your writing. So 15 marks in listening and 15 in writing totally depend on this question. So imagine if in the exam you skip this question, how much chances do you have of actually passing it with an 8? None. Assume I do 2 dictations, I just skipped 1. I've skipped 10 words, 5 marks in listening. So if I have only 85 marks left, how many mistakes am I allowed to make in my listening module? And in my speaking sections where I'm getting marks in listening module to be able to crack it. So we really want to attempt this question really well in order to give ourselves or get a little leverage in listening so that we can make a few mistakes in other questions. Now, talking about time management and listening overall. The time you are spending on each and every question, I'm saying it again, is absolutely crucial. Not more than 10 seconds on your multiple choice, choose multiple answers. Whatever time it takes you to fill in back the words, take it, take care of your S words. Next comes your highlight correct summaries. We are spending 40 seconds on this because this question is important. Countable 40 seconds. After that, we get multiple choice to single answer. We are spending 10 seconds on it. Select missing word. We are spending 10 seconds on it. We get highlight incorrect words. No issues about time management. We know we do this question simultaneously. And for the dictations, whatever time is left, we equally divide it and we invest it on our dictations. Good resources to practice the same. For right from dictations, we all know YouTube videos given by Career Coves are absolutely the best. They release each edition each month. They are the perfect place to go ahead and practice your dictation from. Most of you who would have seen the videos would know that if you get 3 dictations in the exam, 2 are out of their videos, which is a fair amount of percentage to go by. I would like to see some questions that you have in listening module and the troubles that you are facing so that we can together address them. So waiting for your questions, guys. Yes, somebody has asked about summarized spoken text. Now, summarized spoken text is the first part of listening. You get 10 minutes for your summaries. It gives you marks in listening and in writing. It is a very scoring question. So let's break down this question into components. First component, time management in this question. You don't have to worry about that a lot, actually. You have 10 minutes and 10 minutes is a fair amount of time to be able to write a summary. But while the audio is playing, what should I pick up? How should I pick it up? What not to write and what to write is a big question to address. So as I said, this question is giving you marks in 2 places. It is giving you marks in speaking and it is giving you marks, it is giving you marks in listening and it is giving you marks in writing. Talking about the writing component first and then we'll move to the listening one. You'll get marks in writing in this question if you are correct in these 4 criteria. Firstly, if your grammar is correct. That is, that the sentences which you have formed, they are all grammatically correct. The punctuation marks that you have used are correct and that you have written 1 paragraph. If you write 4 dot points, 2 paragraphs, it will be incorrect. You have to write a summary and summary is always 1 paragraph. Next is your spellings. So whatever spellings they have mentioned in the audio, if all the spellings that you have picked up from it and have written them correctly, you'll get good marks. Next, what you have to take care in your writing component is your discourse. That is how you link your paragraphs. Most students confuse the fact that PTE computer does not understand meaning with that they can write whatever. The computer does not get the meaning, but computer gets your grammar. Computer gets the structure. Computer knows all the basic English rules that there are to know. So while you are fooling the computer with the meaning, you want to fool it proper. That means you have to introduce the summary. So there has to be an introductory sentence. For instance, this summary is about. So it tells the computer I have introduced it. There has to be connectors which show connectivity. For instance, I write moreover, furthermore, which show that I'm linking my next line to the previous line. There has to be a connector which starts with hence or in conclusion, which shows the computer that I have concluded the summary. So your summary has to be well structured and the connectivity in the summary really matters. So in writing, these 4 things matter. Your grammar, your spellings, the linkage between the sentences and the overall structure of the summary. Further talking about the listening component of it. It's simple. More the content, more the marks. But the quality of the content in listening summaries really matter. They are not like your retail lectures. In retail lectures, everything is equally important because retail lecture is checked with a transcript, which means everything spoken in the lecture is compared versus you are speaking and you get good marks. But in listening summary, the quality of your content really matters. So if you write a lot of random words and you don't write a lot of good keywords, you won't get good marks. Presumably, if my summary is about agriculture and I start writing points about United Nations, 19th century, maybe they were mentioned in the audio as examples or they were in the audio, but they're not really relevant to the main topic, I won't get very good marks. So I really have to focus on the quality of the keywords I pick up from the lecture. So in note taking, I generally always suggest in summarized spoken text to write as much as you can. Don't think while writing. If you hear a key point and you start thinking about it and then you go ahead and write it, you won't get great marks or you won't be able to catch in a lot. So while the audio is playing, try to write as much as you can, because after the audio finishes, you'll have roughly around 8 minutes to decide which key points to include and which not to include in the summary. The next question that I have is, what are the maximum and minimum words that we can write in this question? The minimum words that you are allowed to write are 50. The maximum that you can write are 70. If you write below this limit, you'll lose marks. If you write beyond this limit, you'll also lose marks. So whatever you do, no matter how beautiful of a summary you've written, if it is 71 words, you will lose a terrible amount of marks. You'll see huge deductions. So you want to make sure that your summary is always within the word limit, which is 50 to 70. 5050 to 7070. Tips for write from dictation. Alright. Every person does it differently. I do it differently, you might do it differently. But there are two ways to generally approach it, which have been proven very useful. So some students, let's take up a sentence. The massive accumulation of data was accumulated into a question. The massive accumulation of data was accumulated into a question. Some students, when they hear the sentence, they write the first alphabet of every letter. So they write the, A, M. So they are able to catch in the first letter of every word that was said, and they can do it simultaneously. Then later they fill in back the words, and it works for them. I, on the other hand, and I know some of you cannot do it simultaneously. So what I generally recommend is that when you hear a sentence, say it back, then type in every letter of every word that was said. That is afterwards. And then try to fill it in. This way you won't omit the small words such as is, the, and you won't make those mistakes. For instance, if they say the assignment was due on 13th and you write the, A, W, due. So I know the assignment and this is W. So if I'm confused between is due, will be due or was due, I can look at this W and I know that this was. So I won't be confused with those things. So if you cannot write the first alphabet of every word that was said simultaneously, you can write it after the dictation finishes. And then try to fill in the words to avoid mistakes. Another question I have is for any tips for RS and write from dictation. What do we mean by RS, love? Would you please specify that? Just waiting for your reply. Any of you, if you have any further questions, keep posting. I'll be happy to address them. Alright, I hope I addressed most of your queries about the listening section. So just winding it all up, time management is absolutely crucial. Don't waste too much time on unscoring questions of the listening module and invest it on the other important questions. So multiple choice, choose multiple answers, 10 seconds. Fill in the blanks, not more than 20. Highlight correct summary, 40 seconds. Multiple choice, choose single answer, 10 seconds. Select missing word, 10 seconds. Highlight incorrect words, 0 seconds. We are doing it simultaneously, and then so that we can invest all the time in write from dictation. Focus on your keyword quality in summarized spoken text. Practice your write from dictations, and we wish you all the best with the exam. If you have any other queries, please post it on our page and we will be able to help you with that. If you want to come in, have a demo class, see how we work and see if these strategies are for you, don't hesitate. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to help you. So keep posting your questions. Contact us if you have any further questions. We've got one more. Somebody just said repeat sentence. So the tips for repeat sentence is the meaning of the sentence that is being said. So that is the speaking section of the exam, for those of you who don't know. So they say a sentence and you have to repeat it back. If you try to grab the meaning of the sentence, what they are really trying to say, you will be able to repeat a lot of it back. Some of you try to do it 100% correctly. And what I want to say to everyone is that no matter what your score in PTE is, even if you have gotten a 90, 90, 90, 90, there is a good possibility that you have not done all your repeat sentences correctly. There is not one student that you'll find who will claim that he did all his repeat sentences 100% accurately. So don't try to do them 100% correct. Try to repeat back as much as you have grabbed out of that sentence without taking a pause. So for instance, they say a very long sentence like, to reach the railway station, go down the stairs, take a left turn right. Some of you, what you would do is, to reach the station, take left turn right. And the moment you do these silent pauses, these natural fillers in your sentences, you will lose a lot of marks in your fluency. So we are trying to repeat back whatever we remember from it in one go. What I'm not saying is that you cannot do all of them incorrectly, I know, but in a few mistakes are allowed. And even if you have 90% accuracy in all of them, you will still get your 8 each. But yes, 90% accuracy and a few mistakes in a few are alright. They are natural, but not anything more than that. So if you make a minor mistake, don't stress too much about it. There is no person that does their repeat sentences 100% correctly. Hope that helps. Template for summarized spoken text. All I would be able to tell you about the template for summarized spoken text is that no matter where you get the template from, you get it from us or that you're following it from any other institute that you're training with, stick to it. Most of us feel that if we write our own summary in our very own words, a very meaningful summary, it'll get us more marks. It wouldn't. As I told you, the computer does not understand the meaning. It understands grammar, it understands structure. So if you have a very good template where you can fill in the keywords and make sure that your grammar is correct and that it is in a proper structure of a paragraph, that is, it has introduction, linkage and conclusion, you'll get good marks. So definitely find yourself a structure if you haven't got one. Writing your own summary would not prove as useful as the template, which is quite surprising. How to do highlight correct summary if you don't find an answer. So assume you're in the exam and the timer is running out. You're not going to sit on that question and waste any more time than 40 seconds. But yes, if you have grabbed the overall zest of what they were saying in the audio, you will be able to find your right answer with elimination method, guaranteed. Try that, see how that helps you. But okay, I've tried everything, I don't even still know the answer. Please go with the option which has the maximum amount of keywords in it. Then that is going to be your best luck. But it's not 100% guarantee that the answer would be correct. But instead of leaving it unattempted, mark something and go to the next question. Alright, it was lovely having you all. One more question. Alright, this is the last one for the day. Thank you for the question. In the question he says, in the retail lecture, I take as many notes as I can and then I just keep on repeating those phrases without using any format and keeping proper pronunciation and fluency. Is that a smart move? Partially smart. So assume I get a retail lecture and then I'd be like, the lecture was about PTE, listening, summary, spoken text, ideas, time management, highlight correct summary. The computer will catch it that I'm not saying any sentences. I'm just saying phrases and they are not linked to each other at all. However, instead of just saying these words, if I be like, the lecture was about listening, they were talking about time management, PTE, summary, time management class. Secondly, it was mentioned crucial aspects, this, that, XYZ. Thirdly, they also stated about this and this. At the end, they talked about the words such as this, this, and this. It gives it a structure. The computer knows I introduced it. I have put my words into a sentence. So what I'm saying is not just words, they are complete sentences. And that I have concluded my retail lecture. I'll get many more marks in grammar and much more marks in content. Thank you very much for your question. It was lovely having this question. So same note, if you have any more questions, please post it on our page. We'd love to help you. And for any demo classes and any other one-on-one sessions where you want to bring in your score reports and you want us to assess them, we'll be happy to help. So bring in your score reports and we'll tell you where your mistakes are for free. So book in your consults, and it was lovely having this session. Thank you very much.